Hello everybody, tonight I would like to tell you 10 short conversations between two people. Number 1. The woman complained to the man she was really tired that day because they hadn't got back from her trip until late the night before. The man agreed with her. He said he just had spent 2 weeks skiing in the mountain and he wanted to know how it had been. The woman replied to him it had been fantastic and she couldn't remember the last time her had so much fun. She wanted to know if he wasn't planning to take vacation soon. The man disagreed with her. He commented, not until after the hit. He had to wait until the return for his business trip to Hong Kong. He was planning to rent a house at the beach for the first week of August. Number 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the days after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 8:30 and he thought they would have to the financial report first. The woman agreed with him. She thought Sherry should speak second because she was going to introduce 2 New York projects. The man commented, that sounds good. Then he thought it would be time for a coffee break. He suggested putting Tom's presentation after the coffee break. That should take them to lunch. The woman agreed with him. She said that after lunch they could go over quarterly report and organize planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. Number 3. The woman was sorry the man, however she didn't see his name anywhere on the reservation list. The man replied to her, however he called to make that reservation 4 weeks before. He reserved the single room for an entire week. He was more reservation number. The woman commented, they just didn't seem to have a record of it there. However, she could do yes. She could give him a dark room for 2 nights and just charge him for a single. On Wednesday, he could move into a single room for the rest of the week, and she suggested looking. She would give him a voucher good for the dinner in their restaurant. The man agreed with her. He thought that would work out and thanks for the meal tickets. Number 4. The man said hello to the woman and how fast would be leaving just 5 minutes for Natural History Museum. The woman agreed with him. She hoped they could spend all morning there. The man commented they would have to leave there by 11 o'clock. Then, if it didn't rain, they had to walk into some of the nearby monuments. Before he was arriving at the restaurant for lunch at 12 o'clock. Then, it was up to the art museum for the afternoon. The woman was surprised about that. She told to him she hoped they didn't have to walk too far, and she thought she would have to wait until the day after to get to the shopping district. Number 5. The woman said to the man she had tried calling him the night before, however, he hadn't been home. She wanted to know where he had been. The man replied to her he had gone to the movie with some friends after work. He suggested calling him that morning because he had known he would be out all day the day before. The woman was sorry about it. She wanted to know if he was still interested in seeing the play. She wanted to buy tickets that day. She could get them to Friday or Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. The man commented he would rather go in the afternoon than at night to see if she got them for Sunday. Number 6. The woman said to the man they had planned the meeting for the afternoon. However, when Miss Johnson had traveled the night before, and they had postponed it, the man wanted to know if Miss Johnson would be there the following day. The woman disagreed with him and she commented Miss Johnson had called that evening to say they should reschedule the meeting for the week after. Number 7. The man said to the woman his secretary had made reservation for him for the 16th of January. The woman wanted to know how many days. The man replied to her 4-6. However, if his wife came, he would stay until the 26th. Number 8. The man wanted to know what the delay was. He said he had been waiting for an hour. The woman replied to him she would be there for another 20 minutes at least, because the police weren't letting anyone through until 6. The man suggested staying at the office. Number 9. The woman said to the man she had been going to take Friday off and not come back until Tuesday. The man replied to her a 4-day weekend. The woman commented, except she had been told to be there first thing Monday morning. The last conversation. The woman wanted to know if that was last train to Osaka. The man disagreed with her. He said that there were 2 more after that. They left every 30 minutes. The woman said she had thought 8:30 had been too early for the last train.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to tell you about 10 short conversations between 2 people. The woman complained to the man she was really tired that day because they hadn't got back from her trip until late the night before. The man agreed with her and he said he just had spent two weeks skiing in the mountain and he wanted to know how it had been. The woman replied to him it had been fantastic, and she couldn't remember the last time her heart so much fun, and she wanted to know if he wasn't planning to take a vacation soon. The man disagreed with her and he commented not until after did he had to wait until he returned for his business trip to Hong Kong, and he was planning to rent a house at the beach for the first week of August. The conversation 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the days after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 8:30, and he thought they could have to the financial report first. The woman agreed with him, and she thought Sherry should speak second because she was going to introduce 2 New York projects. The man commented, "That sounds good," and then he thought it could be time for a coffee break. He suggested putting Tom's presentation after the coffee break, and that should take them to lunch. The woman agreed with him, and she said that after lunch they could go over quarterly report and organize the planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. The conversation 3. The woman was sorry the man, but she didn't see his name anywhere on the reservation list. The man replied to her, but he called to make that reservation 4 weeks before. He reserved 2 single room for an entire week. He was more reservation number. The woman commented they just didn't seem to have a record to fit there. But she could do it. She could give him a double room for 2 nights and just charge him for a single. Then on Wednesday, he could move into a single room for the rest of the week, and she suggested looking. The woman would give him a voucher good for the dinners in their restaurant. The man agreed with her, and he thought that would work out, and thanks for the meal tickets. The conversation 4. The man said hello to the woman and how fast could be leaving in just 5 minutes for Natural History Museum. The woman agreed with him, and she hoped they could spend a morning there. The man commented they could have to leave there by 11. Then, if it didn't rain, they had a walking tour some of the nearby monuments before he was arriving at a restaurant for lunch at 12. Then it was up to the art museum for the afternoon. The woman was surprised by that. She told him she hoped they didn't have to walk too far, and she thought she could have to wait until the day after to get to the shopping district. The conversation 5. The woman said to the man she had tried calling him the night before, but he hadn't been home. She wanted to know where he had been. The man replied to her he had gone to the movie with some friends after work. He suggested calling him that morning because he had known he could be out all day the day before. The woman was sorry about that. She wanted to know if he was still interested in seeing the play. She wanted to buy the tickets that day. She could get them to Friday or Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. The man commented he would rather go in the afternoon than at night to see if she got them for Sunday. The conversation 6. The man said to the woman the meeting Friday morning would be over by noon, so he could be home the day after. The woman replied to him they were having company Sunday, so she hoped he could be there. The man commented he would be home before then. The conversation 7. The woman said to the man she could be gone until the week after next. The man replied to her that means she could be back too late to help them. The woman agreed with him, and she commented her lawyer was coming in that afternoon. The conversation 8. The man complained to the woman it was really hot that day. The woman replied to him, according to the records, the last time it had been that hot had been July 18th, 1970. The woman was surprised by that, and he said that had been his 8th wedding anniversary. The conversation 9. The woman A said to the woman B their Australian planet couldn't be ready until June. The woman B commented that was too late, and she said they had to be operational in January. The woman A commented June was the earliest, and they needed 6 more months. The last conversation. The man said to the woman Petco had started buying their stock last July. The woman wanted to know how many shares they held then. The man replied to her in October they had bought 15,000 and they had over 6%. And then and at that rate, 8% by January.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to tell you 10 short conversations between two people, the man and the woman. Conversation 1. The woman complained to the man she was really tired that day because they hadn't got back from her trip until late the night before. The man agreed with her. He said he just had spent 2 weeks skiing in the mountain and he wanted to know how it had been. The woman replied to him it had been fantastic and she couldn't remember the last time her had so much fun. She wanted to know if he wasn't planning to take a vacation soon. The man disagreed with her. He commented not until after he had to wait until he returned for his business trip to Hong Kong. He was planning to rent a house at the beach for the first week of August. Conversation 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the days after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 8:30, and he thought they would have to the financial report first. The woman agreed with him. She thought Sherry should speak second because she was going to introduce to New York Rochester. The man commented that sounds good. Then he thought it would be time for coffee break. He suggested putting some presentations after coffee break. That should take them to lunch. The woman agreed with him. She said that after lunch they could go over quality report and organize planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. Conversation 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the days after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 8:30, and he thought they would have to the financial report first. The woman agreed with him. She thought Sherry should speak second because she was going to introduce to New York Rochester. The man commented that sounds good. Then he thought it would be time for coffee break. He suggested putting some presentations after coffee break. That should take them to lunch. The woman agreed with him. She said that after lunch they could go over quality report and organize planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. Conversation 3. The woman was sorry the man, but she didn't see his name anywhere on the reservation list. The man replied to her, but he wanted to make that reservation for weeks before. He reserved the single room for entire week. He was more reservation number. The woman commented. The church didn't seem to have a record of it there, but she couldn't do yes. She could give him a top room for 2 nights, and church charges him for a single. Then on Wednesday, he could move into a single room for the rest of the week, and she suggested sleeping. She would give him a voucher good for dinners in their restaurant. The man agreed with her. He thought that would work out and thanks from new tickets. Conversation 4. The man said hello to the woman and how fast would be hearing in just 5 minutes from Natural History Museum. The woman agreed with him. She hoped they could spend all morning there. The man commented. they would have to leave there by 11. Then if it didn't rain, they had to walk into some of the nearby monuments before his were arriving at a restaurant for lunch at 12. Then it was start to the art museum for the afternoon. The woman was surprised by that. He told to him she hoped they didn't have to walk too far, and she thought she would have to wait until the day after to get the shopping district. Conversation 5. The woman said to the man she had tried calling him the night before, but he hadn't been home. She wanted to know where he had been. The man replied to her he had gone to the movie with some friends after work. He suggested calling him this morning because he had known he would be out on days the day before. The woman was sorry about that. He wanted to know if he was still interested in seeing the play. She wanted to buy the tickets that day. She could get them to Friday or Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. The man commented he would rather go in afternoon than at night to see if she got them for Sunday. Conversation 6. The man said to the woman the meeting Friday morning would be over by noon, so he would be home the day after. The woman replied to him they were having company Sunday, so she hoped he would be there. The man commented he would be home before then. Conversation 7. The woman said to the man she would be gone until the red carpet next. The man replied to her that means she would be packed too late to have them. The woman agreed with him, and she commented her lover was coming in that afternoon. Conversation 8. The man complained to the woman it was really hot that day. The woman replied to him according to the records. The last time it had been that hot had been July 18th, 1970. The man was frightened by that, and he said that had been his 8th wedding anniversary. Conversation 9. The woman A said to the woman B, their Australian plenty wouldn't be ready until June. The woman B commented that was too late. She said they had been operational in January. The woman A commented June were the earliest, and they need 6 more months. Conversation 10. The man said to the woman Red Coal had started buying their stock last July. The woman wanted to know how many shares they held of them. The man replied to her in October they had bought 15,000 and they had over 6%. Then at that rate, 8% by January. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Hello everyone, now I want to tell you about 10 short conversations between two people, the man and the woman. The conversation 1. The woman complained to the man she was really tired that day because they hadn't got back from her trip until late the night before. The man agreed with her. He said that he just had spent 2 weeks skiing in the mountain and he wanted to know how it had been. The woman replied to him, it had been fantastic and she couldn't remember the last time her had so much fun. She wanted to know if he wasn't planning to take a vacation soon. The man disagreed with her and he commented, not until after DT. He had to wait until he returned for his business trip to Hong Kong. He was planning to rent a house at the beach for the first week of August. The conversation 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the days after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 8:30 and he thought They could have to the financial report first. The woman agreed with him. She thought Sorry should speak. Second, because she was going to introduce to new job projects. The man commented, "That sounds good." Then he thought it could be time for a coffee break. He suggested putting Tom's presentation after the coffee break that should take them to lunch. The woman agreed with him. She said that after lunch they could go over quarterly report and organize the planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. The conversation 3. The woman was sorry the man, but she didn't see his name anywhere on the reservation list. The man replied to her, but he called to make that reservation for weeks before. He reserved two single room for an entire week. He was more reservation number. The woman commented, they just didn't seem to have record of it there, but she could do that. She could give him a double room for 2 nights and just charge him for a single. Then on Wednesday he could move in a single room for the rest of the week, and she started looking. She would give him a voucher for the dinners in their restaurant. The man agreed with her. He thought that would work out, and thanks for the meal tickets. The conversation 4. The man said hello to the woman and how fast would be leaving in just 5 minutes for Natural History Museum. The woman agreed with him. She hoped they could spend the morning there. The man commented they could have to leave there by 11. Then if it didn't rain, they had a walking tour. Some of the nearby monuments. Before he was arriving at a restaurant for lunch at 11. Then it was off to the art museum for the afternoon. The woman was surprised by that. She told to him she hoped they didn't have to walk too far, and she thought she could have to wait until the day after to get to the shopping district. The conversation 5. The woman said to the man she had tried calling him the night before, but he hadn't been home. She wanted to know where he had been. The man replied to her he had gone to the movie with some friends after work. He started calling him that morning because he had known he could be out all day the day before. The woman was sorry about that. She wanted to know if he was still interested in seeing the play. She wanted to buy the tickets that day. She could get them to Friday or Saturday night or Sunday after. The man commented he could rather go in the afternoon than at night to see if she got them for Sunday. The conversation 1. The woman said to the man they had planned the meeting for that afternoon. However, when Miss Johnson hadn't arrived the night before, and they had postponed it. The man wanted to know if Miss Johnson could be there the following day. The woman disagreed with him, and she commented Miss Johnson had called that evening to say they should risk reschedule the meeting for the week after.
Conversation number 1. The woman said to the man they had planned the meeting for that afternoon. However, when Miss Johnson had been arrived the night before and they had postponed it, the man wanted to know if Miss Johnson would be there the following day. The woman disagreed with him and she commented Miss Johnson had called that evening to say they should reschedule the meeting for the week after.
The conversation 2. The man said to the woman his secretary had made reservation for him for the 16th of January. The woman wanted to know how many days. The man replied to her for 6. However, if his wife came, he could stay until the 26th. The conversation 3. The man wanted to know what the delay was. He said he had been waiting for an hour. The woman replied to him she could be there for another 30 minutes at least, because the police weren't letting anyone through until 6. The man suggested staying at the office. The conversation 4. The woman said to the man she had been going to take Friday off and not came back until Tuesday. The man replied to her a 4-day weekend. The woman commented, except she had been told to be there first thing Monday morning. The conversation 5. The woman wanted to know if that was last train to Osaka. The man disagreed with her. He said that there were 2 more left that they left every 30 minutes. The woman said that she had thought 8:30 had been too early for the last train. Thank you for listening.
Hello everybody. Today I would like to tell you 10 conversations between the man and the woman. Conversation number 1. The woman complained to the man she was really tired that day because they hadn't got back from her trip until late the night before. The man agreed with her. He said he just had spent a week skiing in the mountain and he wanted to know how it had been. The woman replied to him it had been fantastic and she couldn't remember the last time had so much fun. She wanted to know if he wasn't planning to take a vacation soon. And the man disagreed with her. He commented not until after decade. He had to wait until he returned for his business trip to Hong Kong. And he was planning to rent a house at the beach for the first week of August. Conversation number 2. The man said to the woman they needed to plan the day's after meeting. It was scheduled to start at 9:30 and he thought they would have to do the financial report first. The woman agreed with him. She thought Sherry should pick second because she was going to introduce 2 new job projects. The man commented that sounds good. Then he thought it would be time for a coffee break. He suggested putting Tom's presentation after the coffee break. That should take them to lunch. The man agreed with him. She said that after lunch, she could go over quarterly report and organized the planning committee. She thought they could manage to cover everything before the end of the day. Conversation number 3. The woman was sorry the man, but she didn't see his name anywhere on the reservation list. The man replied to her, however, she called to make that reservation 4 weeks before. He reserved 2 single rooms for an entire week. He was more reservation number. The woman commented they just didn't seem to have a record of it there. However, she could do yes. She could give him a double room for 2 nights and just charge him for a single. Then on Wednesday, he could move into a single room for the rest of the week, and she suggested looking. She would give him a voucher good for the dinners in their restaurant. The man agreed with her. He thought that would work out, and thanks for the meal tickets. Conversation number 4. The man said hello to the woman and how fast would be leaving in just 5 minutes for Natural History Museum. The woman agreed with him. She hoped they could spend all morning there. The man commented they would have to leave there by 11. Then if it didn't rain, they had the walking tour some of the nearby monuments. Before he was arriving at the restaurant for lunch at 12, then it was a jog to the art museum for the afternoon. The woman was surprised by that. She told to him she hoped they didn't have to walk too far, and she thought she would have to waiting until the day after to get to the shopping district. Conversation number 5. The woman said to the man she had tried calling him the night before. However, she hadn't been home. She wanted to know where he had been. The man replied to her he had gone to the movies with some friends after work. He suggested calling him that morning because he had known he would be out all day the day before. The woman was sorry about that. She wanted to know if he was still interested in seeing the play. She wanted to buy the tickets that day. She could get them into Friday or Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. The man commented he would rather go in the afternoon than at night to see if she got them for Sunday. Conversation number 2. The man said to the woman his secretary had made a reservation for him for the 16th of January. The woman wanted to know how many days. The man replied to her for 6. However, if his wife came, he would stay until the 26th. Conversation number 3. The man wanted to know what the delay was. He said he had been waiting for an hour. The woman replied to him he would be there for another 30 minutes at least because the police weren't letting everyone through until 6. The man suggested staying at the office. Conversation number 4. The woman said to the man she had been going to take Friday off and not came back until Tuesday. The man replied to her, a 4-day weekend. The woman commented, except she had been told to be there first thing Monday morning. Conversation number 5. The woman wanted to know if that was last train to Osaka. The man disagreed with her. He said that there were 2 more after that. They left every 30 minutes. The woman said she had thought 30 had been too early for the last train.